We want to again welcome you to this first Mayor Press Conference by the Ministry of Education under the directive of the Minister in person of Professor D. Ansu Soding Sr. Okay, at this time, we'll ask the Deputy Minister for Administration to kind of do our welcoming remark.
My name is Latim Dator. I'm the Deputy Minister for Administration, Ministry of Education. I want to use this occasion to welcome each and every one of you here today. Today is a major milestone for education in our country. Today will set the roadmap for where we want to see education in the years to come. The Minister today will outline all of our priorities going forward. And there are some also immediate policy changes that the Minister will be speaking on. The business of education is every Liberian's business because it affects every single person. If not yourself, you have a child or a family member. Everyone is affected by the quality of education a nation provides. We know in the last few years we've had some challenges, but we are optimistic because the team we have at MOE today, headed by a dynamic, one of Liberia's finest educators, Professor Ansu Soding, have dedicated everything we have to make sure we change the status of education in Liberia and make it better. So once again, we want to welcome you. And throughout this discussion, we want it to be very, very, very robust. We want to answer your questions, but the media will play a very vital role going forward in how the public understands what we do and the challenges we face, but also the gains that we will make. Please, don't only carry the bad news about what we do. We want you to be champions of the good news. For every time we do something significant for our country, we want you to champion that news for the Liberian people. So once again, thank you for being here. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, members of the press, at this time we welcome our dynamic, most experienced, wonderful, dynamic, and hard-working minister. Very, very mature indeed. Professor D. Ansu Soding Sr., Minister of Education, for the briefing of the press. Ladies and gentlemen, the minister.
Ladies and gentlemen of the press, let me first say in these opening statements that we are privileged to have been identified among very, very competent Liberians, some of them maybe even more sophisticated than we are, to have been selected by the President to head the Ministry of Education. This ministry, the task associated with it, for me is one of the difficult ones because this ministry affects the lives of everyone in this country in some way. And we want to assure the President that for the time period we will enjoy his confidence. During that time period, only the best out of us can be envisaged. What cannot be done, but whatever can be done by men must be done by us. We shall have no excuses. even with the limitations or whatever may be, we intend to use the opportunities we have to the benefit of the people of this country, especially with the pro-poor agenda of this government. We have a few matters to be discussed as far as our strategies and our plans are concerned. And at that point, we shall make it interactive so that we can all share in the vision of both the President and those of us who are ministers heading this ministry. Ladies and gentlemen, at the certification of successful candidates in the 2017 general presidential elections conducted by the National Elections Committee, I committed to memory a statement of the SRSG at that session, and he said, Liberia is so rich, yet its people are so poor. It makes no sense. This statement summarizes the collective outcomes of the stewardship of all governments since the founding of this country. And it somewhat indicts all Liberians, especially those entrusted with leadership, however small, local and national, for the state of affairs of a nation that has been blessed with abundance in many ways, but apparently also cursed with poverty. Among the natural blessings is the superior coastline and quality beach sand spanning the entire southern border of our country. Underutilized notwithstanding, blessed with streams of waters and rivers sufficient to raise reservoirs as a source of affordable electric power and water transportation service. Blessed with predictable rainfalls across its landscape for agriculture, yet unable to feed itself. Endowed with significant natural rainforests other than the Congo Basin and the Amazon, a nation once a repository of valued minerals, and a nation with brains from Harvard and from Oxford and from Yale and from Princeton, name them all. Yet, the majority of its people unable to read and write with understanding. A nation apparently exploited by many, while its people stand and observe. A nation of wealth and of poverty. What a contrast. Indeed, I believe the SRSG and many who have similar views are perfectly right. It makes no sense. So why is Liberia among the least of nations, still struggling to provide the basic necessities for its people? Somebody needs to help us with some explanation. Where have we gone wrong? How did we go wrong? Why did we go wrong so long? And when do we intend to stop, think, and change course? It is commonly said that doing the same things the same way, we have the same results. President Weah once said on the campaign trail, change we must. There is no better option. The overwhelming election of Ambassador Weah and Senator Taylor on December 26th, a day after Christmas of all days, as President and Vice President, like never before in the history of this country, at least during my lifetime, the Liberians stood massively together for a common cause, come what may. And And we believe that this government, led by this president, with a pro agenda for change, shall not repeat the actions of the past that have brought these nations to a place of pity. I also believe that President Weah loves this country and musters the will to impact the lives of the least of us like never before. While it is true that a significant deposit of the resources of this country are long gone, but the little that is still left must be directed to the common good of the rest who have not been privileged so far. For the singular reason, many of us have accepted to serve with the president so that his vision for this country is fulfilled unhindered. Indeed, we may not have all that will be needed in one basket for a massive and speedy transformation of our country, but we are driven by the will to do so, to seize the cherished pride of the Lone Star forever, the Lone Star forever, that flows over land and over sea, desire it forever, uphold it forever. All hail the Lone Star banner shall be our purpose of my team in this ministry as we serve at the will of the president. As it is written, so shall it be done. God our helper shall provide the wisdom and resources we need. A quotation from the Seventh-day Adventist Education Handbook, page 57. The greatest want of the world is the want of men. Men who will not be bought or sold. Men who in their inmost souls are true and honest. Men who do not fear to call sin or wrong by its rightful name. Men whose conscience is as true as the needle is to the pole. Men who will stand for the right, though the heavens fall. From the Adventist Education, page 57, written by Ellen White. Ladies and gentlemen, my team, comprising of 3 deputy ministers and 11 assistant ministers, 11 or 8? 8 assistant ministers, and I intend to be one of such men as have been given the privilege to serve this government as ministers for the education sector. Difficult is an understatement in characterizing the task of transforming this sector. But if it can be done, then it shall be done. God being our help, and with the confidence of the president. Our perspective, therefore, has been detailed, and we shall discuss those in a few minutes. At nearly 171 years, Liberia has come of age by no means to be a developed country. Her influence on the world stage spanned many decades. Is undoubtedly worthy of history. Our presence on this stage of public service is a privilege, not a right, to make representations that are factual, predictable, and reasonably consistent with the realities obtaining in the education sector. The only sector that gives life and capacity to other sectors through the building of minds that work in those sectors. Because the mind is the man. And without the man, without the mind, the man is a less man. The absence of quality education for the majority is the foundation for backwardness and underdevelopment, personal jealousies, inequity, and other similar societal deficiencies. Given the standing of education amongst the national development priorities, and assuming that there is consensus among all Liberians, and as proposed by His Excellency President Weah, referring to Pillar 1 of his platform, Power to the People, recognizing that our country is in want of capacity or superior quality, we, real Liberians, passionate Liberians, loyal to country, and patriotic, earnest in our well-being, and selfish in demeanor, must take the lead for once and rise to make the difference. And these, all of them combined, constitute the desires of this team, and God willing, we shall do our best. Thank you. We shall now proceed with our agenda items, and we like to just discuss them with you in order of what we consider to be priority. First, I'm going to mention some of the steps that this government has taken so far to begin the process of building quality. One, the President has decided, the government along with him, that many of you already know this, that the examination fees for West African examinations administered to high school students will be paid for henceforth by this government. And as a result, that arrangement has already been consummated, and WIAC has proceeded to register as many as 40,000 students to sit these exams come May. Two, there are many instructors who are on supplementary payrolls, nearly 6,000 plus of them. Many of them need vetting to determine whether or not they belong in the classroom. And when these are done, the government has also assured us that the status of all of them who qualify to stand as a teacher will be regularized through the civil service going forward. We hope that the vetting exercises could be conclusive before June 30th, and that those to be regularized can be regularized in the coming budget year. But until then, there are already a certain number that have been vetted and declared valid for school, and the government has made provisions to regularize the status of at least 400 of them in this transition budget, and 180 of them who are already employed, not on supplementary payroll, but earning salaries that are not consistent with their respective qualification. These are actions already on the list taken by the government. We also, as an entity, now from our side, the operative of this ministry and the ministers have gotten together, we stared the challenges, and we have decided the way that is we think is best. When we come to the interaction, you will raise your own issues, and we will respond to them. The PSL schools, we put it first on this list. Is it PSL or PLS? Yes. Partnership Schools of Liberia. Many people have heard of it. There has been so much resentment in the work that they've done. There was a major conflict that came about between with the introduction of the partnership schools and the Teachers Association, the Principals Associations, and some parents, and generally maybe even the public. What we've done is this. We've already had interaction with all of them as a group and individually. And we have determined that they can remain under conditions that we will now drive. Many have come and they have their own agendas and plans, programs. Those of them that will work with us, with we providing the lead, with this ministry indicating what our needs are, and they being prepared to help us in line with what we say our needs are, and the manner in which those needs are to be executed in our way, then they can remain. Those who cannot work with us in those manners, then of course we tell them thank you for what you have done in the past, but no thank you, you can't stay. Because I must say that I'm hungry before you feed me, and I must say what I need. So in these particular categories of service, we are not prepared to just throw them out without an intelligent assessment. It is for this reason that we have already planned to execute and undertake a thorough national tour of all schools, including PSL schools, to ensure that what they've said they've been doing are exactly what they have been doing, and what they have been doing compared with what we have desired for them to do. If they reconcile, then we proceed. If they don't, then we must reconcile them to our needs, and then we can proceed. And I think on those bases, people who provide funding to them will not consider us as being an ungrateful country, hiring people only for time. We want to make sure that whatever has been done before, that can still be built upon, that we build upon those as we proceed. Then, as we proceed further with this discussion, there are violations of regulations affecting decisions that this Ministry of Education makes. The Ministry of Education, by its act, as an agency of government, responsible exclusively for the monitoring and regulating educational programs and activities in this country, shall exercise our authority as given us by the law. We promise not to be excessive, but we promise to live according to what the law says. And if we have the right to remove this water from here, believe me, we shall remove the water, because it does not belong there. And therefore, when this ministry is executing its regulations, it shall be done irrespective of who, irrespective of what, irrespective of how. And we have decided in one of the particular cases that where there are offenses as far as violations of regulations are concerned, we intend to request the national legislature to approve a bill, which we are now working on with their consent, so that this ministry can have a right to impose direct penalties without going through the law. And those penalties shall fall within the barrier with a lower limit and an upper limit. Depending on the gravity of the violation, we shall exercise our right under those rules. We are asking all of our schools, as long as we have an educational outfit in this country, to comply with the regulations. We intend to work collaboratively with everyone in this sector, so that together we can win together. We have come to know that no person, regardless of their smartness, their experience, their knowledge, their wherewithal, can turn this educational vessel around without the collective effort of parents, school administrators, teachers, government, and the students themselves. So we appeal to the students and parents to help us help them. As you can see, we've passed the learning age, but we need to help posterity, so that those that are behind us can be either like us or better than us. For it is in their hands that this country shall be entrusted. All regulations. For example, when the ministry says that classes for first semester 2018-2019 should begin this week, no school, absolutely no school, shall have the right to resume classes before that date or several weeks beyond that date. For doing so is a direct affront to the authority invested in us. And we shall not hesitate to exercise the law that gave us the right to penalize you. We want to avoid this. When we say graduation should be within this period and there shall be no graduation until YA results are ready, that's exactly what we mean. That's what regulations are all about. And those that will believe that they can go ahead and go on with graduation in spite of the regulations set by the ministry, you got yourself to blame. Because we are going to exercise all of the powers that we have, not being excessive, but making sure that those who are used to breaking rules abide by the rules. Until the ship begins to sail smoothly, we may have to act excessively sometimes, Mr. Minister, and the issue of human rights shall be laid to rest until this boat begins to sail appropriately. This is no bluff. This is true in our being, and we are forming a team. I don't want to necessarily be called minister. All of us are ministers, and you can call all of them minister. I don't have to be specifically identified, because the work we are doing is the work of a team. We are not playing tennis. Tennis is a one-man game. We play soccer or American football, where there are many people playing, and the winning depends on all of us together. Next, if you agree with me, there are certain violations that need to be treated more harshly. And those are not just violations. Those are evil practices against the nation and the younger generation. And this shall extend to parents. I'm preparing myself. All parents, all school principals, all students. When a child is deficient in a particular school, they fail in the 9th grade, for example, and the parent hold their hand and take them to another school without records, and they place that child in 11th grade or 12th grade, that's a crime. That's not a violation. It's criminal. You are helping that child to learn that they can be corrupt even while they are young. That is criminal. You are destroying posterity, and with all of the authority that we have, and the confidence of the president, except he says, Prof, stop. We shall not stop until we deal with such people. And therefore, we have decided to do so legally, that we shall develop another bill for the legislature to approve, to enact into law, creating a criminal court responsible to remedy academic crimes. Because we know that crimes have a court. But if we were to go through all of the criminal court processes, the cases that are academic will be subordinated to murders or offenses. Therefore, if we have a court to deal with this issue, it may look small, but it isn't. For those who believe that you can collect flexibility fees and allow people at testing centers to ensure that the examiners and the proctors leave the test hall, or even go ahead and help the students with the exams, you are not helping this country. You are a criminal. And when we catch such criminals, we impose such fines as we shall discuss in this particular case. The court is intended for criminal of that nature. It's a criminal even greater than breaking windows. If someone can steal telephone and go to prison, why about somebody who destroyed the population of the country? Prison is not a place. If there was somewhere better than prison, that's where we place you. But in this particular case, the law has to back us. This is why we are going that way, to seek a remedy through the law. So due process can still be established. Even where there are violations that we earlier talked about, we intend to create in this ministry a board not more than 4 or 5 persons. We don't want a large team. Across this ministry, maybe we take somebody from outside to join us to make sure when somebody that person equally receives due process. There will be a committee here. The committee will review the issues, and if the person is found guilty or the school is found guilty, we impose a penalty without looking back. People, to turn something like this around, it requires no honeymoon, it requires no parties, it requires harshness sometimes, but with humility and respect. So this is why we are calling the press, and to preempt ourselves, we've had a meeting with the PTAs, with the Principal Association, with the Parent Teachers Association, with the secretariats of the private schools, with the principals of the public schools, and we extend this outside of this city so that everybody is aware ahead of time that these are what we intend to do. So when we do them, nobody is surprised. Ladies and gentlemen, we've also decided that we shall license all teachers. If we must be able to execute the action that we intend to execute, then we must protect the profession. And protecting the profession means that we must license everyone who holds a job or a white gold marker. Anyone who considers themselves an academic administrator must be licensed. And that licensing shall commence this academic year. And it shall go by way of those who have already been in classrooms and aged, who probably can no longer take tests and pass. We shall grant them under the grandfather's clause and give them license, but after a few weeks of retooling and brushing up. All of those who are still youthful ages, 45 and down, we're going to give you tests. Even if you have a degree, we'll still test to find out whether you have the relevant competence to proceed as a teacher. When that is done, we shall then license you as a teacher in an official occasion. And when you are licensed, that license is expected to compel you to conduct yourself as a teacher. Teachers are teachers by calling. Teaching is not just a profession. Teaching is a calling. And the rewards are not just on paychecks. The rewards and the benefits of building a country. The joy that you have for a child who has succeeded because of you. And if we betray the trust, then we should not be teaching. Therefore, when you shall have been licensed as a teacher or school principal, and you betray the trust embedded in that licensure, we shall either suspend depending on the gravity or revoke the license. When your license is revoked, the law shall say that you shall never again in your lifetime in this country be a teacher. You can do something else. Find other jobs. Do business. But teaching, never. Because you have betrayed the trust of the license. I'm not saying we will suspend it. If we suspend it, we can restore it. But if we revoke it, you won't come back. Because you don't fit to be a teacher. We hope that never happens to all of our folks who have decided. Nobody call you to teach. Nobody say go to classroom. If you were looking for a job and you went to the classroom accidentally, we will license you as a teacher if you decide that you want to be a teacher. And if you have the competence. Now, once we license you as a teacher, that is the end of that. It's intended to also protect the profession. Nobody can just come from anywhere and go in the classroom. If you graduate from university, you have a degree in mathematics, you have a degree in physics, you have a degree in whatever. We must put you through the ethics of teaching and license you so that, except if you graduated with Bachelor of Science in primary education or secondary education, besides those, we must license you if you have an ordinary, not ordinary, I don't want to say ordinary, when you have a bachelor degree in other disciplines, but short of being trained as a teacher. We don't want a 5th grader teaching calculus because they're not teacher. So as far as concerned, they're displaying their knowledge. That's not teaching. Therefore, the issue of licensing is going to be primary in our structure. But we must first prepare people, and you agree with me that if you were to try to give me a test right now, I probably won't pass. I've been teaching for almost 40 years. So are you going to throw me overboard? No. You put me through a cleaning process. You clean me up, shake me up a little bit, and you license me. And put me under obligation to perform as I've performed before, if not even better. So under those circumstances, you become licensed. But every other person that is becoming a teacher, you graduate from KRTTI, from whatever TTIs, you have only earned a certificate that qualifies you to teach. But the instrument that compels you to conduct yourself as a teacher is the licensing. That we shall do without looking back. And we pray that God being our guide, in the space of 2 years, we should be able to license almost everyone who stands in the classroom. So of course, if you are not licensed in the classroom, then there has to be a way to take you out of the classroom, because you shouldn't be there. The principle that will allow you to be in the classroom when you are not licensed, that's a foundation. That is not revoking the principle of license, but that is a violation that is punishable under this law that we are trying to get the legislature to pass for us. And when those are done, believe me, God being on our side, we have a feeling that this thing can be better. We have identified the critical areas of the school system that have broken it down. We identified supervision to have broken down completely in many cases. And human being who human being is, left to themselves, are likely to do things that are inappropriate. So the supervision mechanism is being restructured in this ministry. And we expect parents to help us in that process. We have even decided among us that we shall engage the local governments. So the political commissioner in the respective political districts, as they pass through their jurisdiction and doing their work, they should make sure that children are not on the teacher's farm, or the children are not going to video clubs and other things in the daytime when they should be in school. They, as commissioners, have the authority to ensure that the jurisdiction is managed properly, and managing a jurisdiction properly includes the managing of the constituency, and that constituency includes your children as well. So we shall, if we can get them something small later on, we can do that. But they are already being paid by local government. All we are doing is to add an addendum to their responsibility, so they can take responsibility for posterity in their respective districts. We intend to use all. We also intend from this ministry to use our own excess capacity. I would be a monitor. He's going to be a monitor. All the deputies in the ministry are going to be ministers, going to be directors, we are going to be monitors. We are going to be out, and we are not going to leave everything to DEOs and CEOs alone. Because some of the DEOs alone have 200 schools to inspect. And to be effective, every DEO should visit a school minimum 5 times a year. If there are some schools that you cannot visit in 2 years' time, then you have not worked. The system has not worked. But we have also caused you not to work because the territory will give you just too large for you to manage as a human being. So therefore, we intend to complement your work with the excess capacity in this ministry. There are several of us here who have, all of us have work to do. But I'm almost sure that nobody works directly from 9 o'clock to 5. So the extra 2 hours, the extra 3 hours, the extra 4 hours, instead of doing things that you don't necessarily have to do, we want to engage you to be out in the schools as monitors. Your title not changing. They won't call me monitor, I'm the minister. But when I'm in the field monitoring, I'm a monitor. When I come back to my office, I'm a minister. So therefore, if I can do monitoring, not only that I'm minister, but already I'm already. So if I can do the monitoring myself, why not you? So this is not humiliating anyone. It's helping us to do what we're supposed to do so that the system operates rightly. There are two more items we'd like to just share. If you notice, there are many schools in the morning, knowing that there are no adequate transportation system. This one is just a request to make sure that schools also look out for the students. There are many schools in the morning, students are lined up at the gate. The doors are closed. It doesn't look right to me. As much as we are pushing punctuality, I think there should be some, maybe there's a little window. And that window is being created only because transportation challenges. I'm not saying you open the window till 12. I'm saying open the window a little while. Maybe the child is going to miss a couple of minutes of the first marking period. By the end of the day, you take them in as opposed to allowing them to stay out of the gate. Now those that come after that, you can use your adjustment to go. When we were in school, we can't do it now. If you're late, in fact, you will not be late. Because you know what will happen when you get to the gate. There is a rattan, but this time there is nothing like rattan. So being afraid of that rattan, will do everything we can to get on time. But there are no more rattans. What we need to do now is to find punishment in the school. You can clean, you can sweep, you can formulate. You sum up the number of latenesses, then you ask the child to do a particular piece of job. Now if the child says, well, I can't do a piece of job, then the child does not want to stay in that school. They can go somewhere else. That's how strict you have to be as a principal, as administrator of schools. And if we do that, we help a little bit because many of our ministers have observed in the morning, sometimes by 8:30, 8:50, 8:30, there are hosts of students at the gate of some schools. We want the principals to just review this. We are not asking this particular one as an order because we have to discuss it a little bit more. We don't want to encourage lateness. We want to make sure the students also learn how to be punctual. So they have to learn that from early ages. But again, circumstances dictate in many cases, and we see the children really struggling to get on vehicles to go to school. So those of us who have vehicles to carry our children are blessed. What about those who cannot pay for wheelbarrow tire? How do they get on cars to take their children? So those are the kind of challenges I like for schools to look at. But that is not something we're asking you to implement between now and September. What I'd like for you to do is, our meeting in May, is it May or April? May. That is Sunday. We're talking about, we're supposed to meet the principals sometime April. When we meet again, we shall discuss this and hear exactly what you have in mind. So it's based on that, when we agree to go ahead collectively, we'll go ahead and do so collectively. Then also, there is a course that we did when we were in school some time ago. And I don't want to call it time because it's been a long time. I don't know why civics ever left the curriculum. We are going to, Ms. Benson, we have to make sure that civics gets back into the curriculum. I think civics is taught in the upper base again. Oh, really? So everyone should do civics. Have you heard us singing the national anthem? Enjoy, enjoy. We sing the national anthem. Many, even adults, don't know the word. Yes, don't even worry about the students. The Lone Star Forever, forget that. They don't even know the song, the tune, or the words. If you're doing civics, you don't have a choice. As a student, you will know the presidents of this country, just like this. As a student, you will sing the national, and as a student, you become cultured. There are certain basic culture of this country that are also embedded in that civics. And because Bible and Quran are no longer in public school, we can use civics to teach a lot of moral in the school. Because most of the basic cultures that this country is driven by, those cultures talk about respect, talk about honor. And we want to make sure that that civics, Ms. Menza, we begin to think about it quickly, so that beginning September, I'm not talking about next year, this one that's coming, this September, civics get back into the curriculum, and this is why we will conduct a summit in May. That summit shall encompass all organizations, and then we shall come together to decide whether or not we want to fix the school or we want to make fuss about ourselves and condemn each other as we go on. If we decide collectively that it must change, then it must change. It is not fair for students who are doing their very best in a system that is considered to be complete mess, and that mess rubs off on them when they go to other countries. That has to change. We have to make sure that that word is not referred to, is not attributed to the academic sector anymore. In 2 to 3 years, that should be the case. And we just want to emphasize that. The fines are done, the code is taken care of, and all right. Yes, the last item, and then we'll open now for discussion. Maybe while we're having the discussion, something will come up that we are not talking about. There are business houses. There are business houses that are involved with the sale of alcohol and other things to students. Business houses. Small or big, it doesn't matter. We say business houses. And we want to make sure that if you are a business house, that you do not transact inappropriate commodity with school children. You do not allow them entering your video clubs 11, 12, 1 o'clock school time, because there are because there are games during that time. We have contacted the Ministry of Justice already. This one I don't think we will wait until September. The issue of Super Friday disappears as of this statement. Any principal who lets their student out of school earlier than they should for the kids to go for Super Friday, that principal, if you have already been licensed, you have lost it. That principal, if you have not been licensed, the penalty to be imposed on your school shall be weighted. So we just want to let you know that Fridays, we from this ministry, our monitoring team, because Super Friday is Monrovia business. There's no Super Friday in the interior, no beach there. Super Friday is a Monrovia issue. So we shall also intensify our monitoring exercises on Fridays. And we come to your school and meet, wouldn't you, the principal, sitting there while your students? We'd like to know why. Because no teacher will be in the class teaching and student leave. The student only leave because the teachers have left. The teachers have left because they have their other duties. We got moonlight teachers. Sorry, I'm teacher myself, so I know what it means. Sorry if my little bit harsh. We got teachers who moonlight. They go to a public school in the morning, 1 or 2 hours, and they run from there and go teach to a private school. And when they go to teach to a private school, the public school students are waiting. They don't have teacher because you have chosen to teach in 2, 3 different places at the same time. It doesn't work. Somebody is going to suffer, and most of the time, it's the public school that suffers. That should not happen. That should not happen. There has no reason to happen. That's unfair. Now, if the paycheck is very small and it cannot accommodate you, then the teaching profession is not your line. You have to start looking for a different place. Because I have not seen any rich teacher yet in this country. Any rich teacher here must have stolen something or a part left with him. True. For you to teach, go to teach and get rich, I'm waiting to see. You may do other form of businesses, that's fine. Like, I'm an accountant. And I actually live on the accounting, not teaching. But I teach because without teaching, I'm unfulfilled. So I teach. I always teach. But for teachers to come and leave their class and go, that's the principal's responsibility. This is why we have said that it is the administration of schools that have failed the people. Because if you are administering the school and you are not a comrade of the teachers, teachers are not your comrade. You are the supervisor. Immediately you become principal, your level changes. I'm not saying that you no longer consider the other folks. The other folks are teachers like you, but you are now teacher plus. And you must exercise your authority as teacher plus. And when you do that, even your colleagues will respect you for doing your duty. There are many schools in the interior area, I understand, the animals have taken over the classrooms. That too has to change. We are not going to be able to approach all of the challenges at the same time. Let me not even say challenge, problems. Yeah, NGO language challenges, but this is problem. And we intend, we will sit together as a ministry and all my directors, and we decide how should we begin, where should we take it from, so that when we are going, our backs are covered. So we don't do small here, do small there, and be jack of all trades and accomplish nothing at the end of the day. The private schools carry 780,000 students as of last year. The public schools carry 720,000 students as of last year. That means that the private schools are ministering to more of the country's population than public schools are. I don't care how we strengthen the public schools. If the private schools are not strengthening as well, we have done nothing. Therefore, private schools, when we come to you, we are not coming to you in anger. We are coming to you because your concern is our concern. We then want to help you to get it done the way you have actually decided to do. Unfortunately, in trying to get that done, some schools may have to be closed. If there are schools that do not look like schools, if there are schools that got no teacher, one teacher in the whole place teaching 1st to 6th grade, if there are schools that have challenges beyond the capacity of the proprietors, then with advisement we shall move the students to different schools, and that school shall be closed until it comes to the standing that it should. And we ask those that do the certificate, the license, is a license or accreditation of schools that no one in this ministry, under our watch as ministers, accredit any school, except we have visited, we have examined, we have seen the profile of the faculty, and then we can license. In the absence of that licensing, the accreditation, that school scrutinizes. Because you are supposed to display your how you call it, that accreditation paper at the front of your school. If that is not the case, then the inspector has every right to either fine you severely or begin to process your closure. This crucial. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, many of our folks did not have a very strong early childhood education. Many of our folks did not get a very good basic education, both lower and upper. Therefore, for several generations now that we have on our hands, we intend to introduce a 3-track high school learning corridor. When you complete the 9th grade and you are going to the 10th grade, we shall look in the school. That's the work of the principals and the administrative of that school. We shall look at your records from the upper basic and find out whether or not you have the IQ to do the sciences, or you have the IQ to go strictly into academic, whether it's social sciences. And if you do not have those two, then we shall place you in the vocational track. The vocational track shall be the same length of time as the academic track. We shall convert the number of academic hours to vocational hours. And you shall do, if you're doing carpentry and masonry, you shall do all 2 of those or 3 of them in 3 years. At the end of 3 years, the WIAC examination as is now drawn has exam for skills people. So when you go to do your WIAC, you do your skills exam, and then you become a high school graduate, just like everybody else. But from that high school, you go to work. And those who are in the social sciences, they remain in the social sciences. When they graduate, they go to college, they are going into various other disciplines. Teachers, politics, and other disciplines. The students who are in the science track, those are ones that we want to prepare for the STEM education. They are the sharp students with the analytical minds. Those students, when they complete, they are those that are going to engineering, they are those that are going to medicine, they are those that are going to those kind of related subject matters. In that way, the slower student do not slow down the sharp student, and the sharp student do not drag the slower student. Because those in the science will be competitive, those in the social science will be competitive at their IQs, and those in the art, in the how you call it, the skills work, will be competitive in their line. This is what we intend to do, and I've already talked to Ms. Menza. I understand there's already a curriculum like that available. We shall now begin to see with which school we should roll it out, and given the resources, we may not be able to build vocational schools across the country, but we can expand the high schools. We can expand the high schools and put vocational tracks in there, so that in the high school you can have vocational tracks. Instead of looking for millions to build vocational schools that the MVTC you may not have, but you can go ahead with what we now have is the Topman High, the BWI, and which one again? But not multilaterals. The facilities are there, and we need to do that for several other schools. In the case of a private school, we may need to ask government if it was possible or some donors to help us help some of the private schools. But of course, if a private school is subsidized to have a vocational track, that private school tuition has to be adjusted accordingly to reflect their subsidy. We don't want to subsidize you and you stay at position as if you sell in supermarket. It has to be reviewed. So generally, these are our discussions. I want to stop there. These are the critical ones. There are other ones, but we'll leave those ones for now, so you will not forget the first one that we started discussing. Thank you very much, and you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Minister. This time, open the line. Pretty much, the press conference has now come to an end, and we want the journalists that are invited to kind of remain to take a photo with the minister and the team for future reference. Thank you very much. May God bless you. Those of you that are invited, please remain to take a photo with the minister and the team.